वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शृण्वतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवण कीर्तन हृदयन्तस्तुयभद्राणि विदनोति सुरत्सताम्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। Reading from Canto 4, Chapter 22, Text 24. Ahimsaya paramahamsacharya smartya mukunda charitagryasviduna yame rakame niyameschapi anindaya nirihaya dvandvatitikshaya cha. Synonyms: ahimsaya, by non-violence; paramahamsya charyaya, by following the footsteps of great acharyas; smartya, by remembering; mukunda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead; acharita agriya, simply preaching his activities; siduna, by the nectar; yame, by following regulative principles; akame, without material desires; niyame, by strictly following the rules and regulations; cha, also; api, certainly; anindaya, without blasphemy; nirihaya, living simply, plain living; dvandva, duality; titikshaya, by tolerance; cha, and translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: a candidate for spiritual advancement must be non-violent, must follow in the footsteps of great acharyas, must always remember the nectar of the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, must follow regulative principles without material desire, and while following the regulative principles, should not blaspheme others. A devotee should lead very simple life and not be disturbed by the dualities of opposing elements. He should learn to tolerate them. Purport: a devotee, the devotees are actually saintly persons or sadhus. The first qualification of a sadhu or a devotee is ahimsa or non-violence. Persons interested in the path of devotional service or in going back home, back to Godhead, must practice, must first practice ahimsa or non-violence. A sadhu is described as titikshava karunikaha, Bhagavatam 3:25-21. A devotee should be tolerant and should be very much compassionate towards others. For example, if he suffers personal injury, he should tolerate it. But if someone else suffers injury, the devotee need not tolerate it. The whole world is full of violence, and a devotee's first business is to stop this violence, including the unnecessary slaughter of animals. A devotee is the friend not only of human society but of all living entities, for he sees all living entities as the sons of Supreme Personality of Godhead. He does not claim himself to be the only Son of God and allow all others to be killed, thinking that they have no soul. This kind of philosophy is never advocated by pure devotee of the Lord. Surda Sarvadehinam. A true devotee is the friend of all living entities. Krishna claims in Bhagavad Gita to be father of all species of living entities. Consequently, the devotee of Krishna is always a friend of all. This is called ahimsa. Such non-violence can be practiced only when we follow the footsteps of great acharyas. Therefore, according to our Vaishnava philosophy, we have to follow the great acharyas of the four sampradayas or disciplic successions. Trying to advance in spiritual life outside of outside the disciplic succession is simply ludicrous. It is said, therefore, Acharyavan Purusho Veda. One who follows the disciplic succession of Acharyas knows the things as they are. Chandogya Upanishad 6.14.2. Tadvijnanartam sagurum eva vigachet. In order to understand the transcendental science, one must approach the bona fide spiritual master. Mundaka Upanishad 1-12. The word smrtya is very important in spiritual life. Smrtya means remembering Krishna always. Life should be molded in such a way that one cannot remain alone without thinking of Krishna. We should live in Krishna so that while eating, sleeping, walking, and working, we remain only in Krishna. Our Krishna Consciousness Society recommends that we arrange our living so that we can remember Krishna. In our ISKCON society, that are also hearing about the glories of Krishna or his devotees. The Shastra recommends Smartavya Satatam Vishnu. Lord should be remembered always, constantly. Vismartavyo na jatachit. Vishnu should never be forgotten. That is the spiritual way of life. Smartya. This remembrance of Lord can be continued if we hear about Him constantly. It is therefore recommended in this verse, Mukunda Charita Agriya Siduna. Sidu means nectar. To hear about Krishna from Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita or similar authentic literature is to live in Krishna consciousness. Such concentration of Krishna consciousness can be achieved by persons who are strictly following the rules and regulations, rules and regulative principles. We have recommended in our Krishna consciousness movement that a devotee chant 16 rounds on beads daily and follow the regulative principles. That will help the devotee be fixed in his spiritual advancement in life. It is also stated in this verse that one can advance by controlling the senses, yame. By controlling the senses, one can become Swami or Goswami. One who is therefore enjoying this super title, Swami or Goswami, must be very strict in controlling his senses. Indeed, he must be master of his senses. This is possible when one does not desire any material sense gratification. If by chance the senses want to work independently, he must control them. If we simply practice avoiding material sense gratification, controlling the senses is automatically achieved. Another important point mentioned in this connection is anindaya. We should not criticize others' methods of religion. Therefore, different types of religious systems operating under different qualities of material nature. Those operating in the modes of good ignorance and passion cannot be as perfect as that system in the mode of goodness. In Bhagavad Gita, everything has been divided into three qualitative divisions. Therefore, Religious systems are similarly categorized. When people are mostly under the modes of passion and ignorance, their system of religion will be of the same quality. A devotee, instead of criticizing such systems, will encourage the followers to stick to their principles so that gradually they can come to the platform of religion in goodness. Simply by criticizing them, a devotee's mind will be agitated. Thus, a devotee should tolerate and learn to stop agitation. Another feature of the devotee is nirihaya, simple living. Niriha means gentle, meek, or simple. A devotee should not live very gorgeously and imitate materialistic person. Plain living and high thinking are recommended for devotee. He should accept only so much as he needs to keep the material body fit for the execution of devotional service. He should not eat or sleep more than required. Simply eating for living and not living for eating and sleeping only 6 to 7 hours a day are principles to be followed by the devotees. As long as the body is there, it must it is subjected to the influence of climatic changes, diseases, and natural disturbances, the threefold miseries of material existence. We cannot avoid them. Sometimes we receive letters from neophyte devotees questioning why they have fallen sick, although pursuing Krishna consciousness. They should learn from this verse that they have to become tolerant. Dvandva titikshaya. This is the word of this is the world of duality. One should not think that because he has fallen sick, he has fallen from Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness can continue without impediment from any material opposition. Lord Sri Krishna therefore advises in Bhagavad Gita 2:14, Tam titikshasva bharata. My dear Arjuna, please try to tolerate all these disturbances. Be fixed in your Krishna conscious activities. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने. नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. I seek the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas. Please forgive me for any misinterpretation. Continuing on the instructions of Sanat Kumara to Prithu Maharaj, Sanat Kumara says that one must practice non-violence or ahimsa. Non-violence can be practiced if one develops a spiritual vision by practicing Krishna consciousness. Such a person is a Pandita. In Bhagavad Gita it is said, Vidya Vinaya Sampane Brahmani Kavi Hastini Shuni Chaiva Swapakecha Pandita Samadarshana. So Pandita, a learned person, has developed equal vision. He sees all living beings as spirit, soul, part and parcel of Krishna. He does not discriminate between different living beings. In other practices, we see that they treat these household animals very with a lot of compassion, but to some other animals, they don't have any compassion, like the cows and goats. But One who has developed spiritual vision, he sees all animals equally. Chanakya Pandita says, Atmavat Sarvabhuteshu. One must see all animals, all living beings as his own self. Just like I do not harm myself, I will not harm the other animals. Now, violence is also suppose an animal is killed prematurely, then we are checking the progressive life of that animal. All lower living beings, they are going through this spiritual evolution or transmigrating from lower species of life to higher species of life, eventually to human form of life. If an animal is prematurely killed, then that animal has to come back in the same form of life again to complete the remaining days. So in this way, by prematurely killing, we are delaying its progressive life. Violence doesn't mean killing an animal or destroying the body. Non-violence also means uh, not to put others in distress. The other subject discussed here, following the footsteps of Acharya. Acharya comes from the word acharati. A Acharya follows or practices what he preaches. In Bhagavad Gita it is said, Yad yad acharati shrestha tat tad yevetaro jana. When Srila Prabhupada came to the West, these young Americans took his words very seriously because he was practicing what he was preaching. So many of these young Americans followed his footsteps and became devotees. Now, in some university, a professor might be teaching Bhagavad Gita as a part of the curriculum. Generally, nobody becomes a devotee after hearing his classes. Next subject is Smartya, remembrance of Lord Krishna is very important. When one forgets Krishna, he comes under the clutches of Maya. In Chaitanya Charitamrita it is said, Krishna Nityadasa Jiva Taha Boligela Yei Doshe Mayatara Galaya Bandila. Meaning, Jivatma, living beings, we are Krishna's Nityadasa, eternal servant. That's our eternal identity. And for some reason, Taha Boligela, we have forgotten that. Because of this one mistake, Maya has tied our neck with a rope. We are bound up in this material world. So, Maya is like a shadow. Krishna is like a sun. Maya cannot stand in front of Krishna. Krishna Surya Sama, Maya Hayandakar. So as soon as we start remembering Krishna, Maya will release that jiva. Another top subject is Yama, following the rules and regulations of Bhakti. When one is in sadhana Bhakti, or when a devotee, any of our devotee, must strictly follow the rules and regulations of the Bhakti. Such rules and regulations will protect the Bhakti. Because in the neophyte stage, the Bhakti is very tender, uh, it must be protected by rules and regulations. Just like a plant, in the young plant should be protected by fence around it. Otherwise, some animal can come and eat it. So, the rules and regulations are like that fence protecting the plant. Next is Anindaya, meaning not to blaspheme. Especially devotees, one should not blaspheme. Vaishnava Aparadha in the Chaitanya Charitamrita said, Yadi Vaishnava Aparadha ute Hati Mata. Vaishnava Aparadha is like a mad elephant. A mad elephant enters the garden, it destroys, uproots the plant, breaks the plant, and it destroys. Similarly, a Vaishnava Aparadha can destroy bhakti. A fence around the plant cannot protect from a mad elephant. Therefore, one must guard against Vaishnava Aparadha. I'll stop here. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Hare Krishna.